This channel is about the good, the bad and the ugly of being a new rider, a new scooterist. And this video is definitely about the bad and the ugly. What was nearly very ugly indeed. Stay tuned. Guys, this is the most important video I've put out so far. Very, very important safety awareness video. And a warning to anybody who is thinking of doing their own maintenance. I've had a bad experience and I'm going to tell you what it was. Nothing major happened, but it could have been disaster, okay? So you remember that I did the belt recently. I did the belt, I put the new Dr. Pulley sliders in instead of the rollers and changed the variator fan, okay? So it all went well, put it all back together, went out for a couple of rides, everything was absolutely fine, no problem. Third ride that I went out, I started hearing a slight strange noise, like a very, very strange rattling sound. Not a rattle, but more like a kind of whirring sound, I would describe it. And it sounded like a speed bike going around a racetrack, okay? But it was only when I got to 6,000 revs. 6,000 revs, it'd make the noise. On decelerating from 6,000 revs, the noise would get louder, right? And I thought, this is not right, it's definitely not right. At first I was thinking, is it just that's the way that Dr. Pulley sliders are meant to sound? But then I started just getting a little bit concerned, it was a little bit too noisy and a little bit of a rattle. So I decided to investigate, and boy am I glad that I did, because if I hadn't have done, I would probably have hit the tarmac at some point, because disaster struck, okay, absolute disaster. It could have been much, much worse. Fortunately, I investigated early enough to find the problem, but this is what I found, okay. So I unbolted the transmission cover, and as I pulled it away, I could hear that something was already loose, and as soon as I pulled it away, the actual clutch nut, the nut that holds on the bell housing on the clutch, actually fell out along with the washer, and the clutch was completely loose. It was rattling up and down the spindle, okay. Now, if you have a look at this, you can see the damage it's caused to the clutch bell, completely scuffed and scraped, and that had been moving back and forth on the spindle and bashing into the inside of the transmission casing. So you can see there on the transmission casing how much damage it's caused. It's just been grinding away there at the metal, and the whole of the housing was full of like little metal filings where it had been scraping. So fortunately, it's not going to affect the performance. It's a part that's hidden out of view. It's a non-moving part, so it doesn't affect any balance. And the clutch housing, although it looks bad, should I say the clutch bell, it looks bad, but it's actually quite smooth, and I'm not too concerned about that. So all I did was I sanded it down, and I used a file on the inside of the casing there just to get rid of any rough bits, to smooth them out a little bit, get rid of any bits that might be flying around in there. Cleaned it out with a little bit of brake cleaner and reassembled it all. So yeah, just really pleased that I caught it before it caused any major engine damage. Could have been worse. So I put this one down to, as a learning experience. I was very, very lucky, and I've definitely learned a lesson from it. The lessons I've learned are: number one, use a torque wrench, but most importantly, make sure that it is set to the correct torque settings for whatever you're tightening, okay? And if you're unsure, don't try and guess, okay? I'm going to do a separate video on torque settings and information that I've discovered, which might be useful to some people, okay? So look out for that in the coming days. The second thing that I've learned, okay, is use Loctite, okay? Put some Loctite or some thread locker on the most important nuts that you don't want to come loose, okay? And I think that's something that previously people were mentioning on the channel. People were putting it in the comments, and I'd be like, oh yeah, I'll get around to doing that. But I can't stress enough that if you take something off and you want it to stay on when you replace it, then use some thread locker or some Loctite, okay? And the third, and possibly the most important thing I've learned, is if your scooter is making funny noises while you're riding it, stop straight away and investigate, okay? Because you know how it should sound, and if it's sounding a little bit weird, if there's anything that's off, then it's not worth risking it. And furthermore, it could have caused serious damage to the engine, okay? So I'm very, very lucky. Managed to escape disaster, but could have been a completely different story. And fingers crossed, that's a warning to me, okay, and it's not going to happen again. But guys, put your stories, put your comments below, anything like that that's happened to you. Let's share it, get the information out there, and then everybody can benefit. All right, guys, thanks for watching, and thanks for sticking along on the journey. All right, more videos to come soon. Don't forget to subscribe.